Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com for Saturday, September 28th up at Belmont Park, one of their Breeders' Cup preview days. And the late pick four starts in the eighth race, one of three graded stakes races in this sequence. The Grade 2 Beldame, fillies and mares going a mile and an eighth, which, of course, at Belmont is just around one turn. And you're going to have a really big favorite here in Midnight Bisou. So, Jim, you're going to try to beat her?
I tried to beat her last time with the Elate. If you remember, it cost me about $2,500. So, no, I don't think I'm going to try to beat her today. This field is not nearly as good. They all got scared away, and obviously Elate's not going to be here. She's running next weekend at Keeneland. So, Midnight Bisou's a single to pick four for me. I think, Wildcat is probably the second best horse in here, but I can't see anybody beating Midnight Bisou. There's an opportunity for one of these fillies to maybe get an easy lead, but and that's how I'd ride Wildcat if I was riding her, but I'm not. I think Midnight Bisou is going to be 2-5 here, and if I were playing the race, I'd just do a cold exact of Midnight Bisou over Wildcat at 1-6.
Yeah, I can't really argue with any of that. I think Midnight Bisou seems to run her best races at Belmont. The two times that she's been there, she has looked sensational, including earlier this year on the Belmont Stakes Day card. She also has numbers that are just superior to this field. When we get to the pick four, you can either save money on the ticket and single her, or you could include one more, and if you beat her, then that'll dramatically increase the payoff. And like you, I think Wildcat would be the other one. But Midnight Bisou for me. In the ninth race, the Grade 3 Pilgrim, this is 2-year-olds going on the turf at a mile and a 16th, and I think this is a real wide-open group. You'll have to go, I would think, deep in the pick four. I ended up going to the 3-horse Andesite, if that's how that's pronounced, for Brad Cox. One of several horses that had a bad trip in the With Anticipation, which several of these come out of up at Saratoga. Cox's barn is doing really well. I think they've got 10 out of 12 in the money going into Thursday. And I like the fact that Javier Castellano stays on. And he's not a guy that rides all the time for Brad Cox, and rode this horse last time and stays around for another chance. So I'm going to take the 3, but I thought the 1 had a big shot. He had trouble as well. Tuggle and now well drawn from the 1 hole. Our Country, the 6, was the beaten favorite in the With Anticipation and had a bad start. And then you've got Pletcher and Chad Brown that you could add in, the 2 and the 7, No Word, and Structor. So I'm going to use all 5 of those when we get to the pick 4. But I'm going to try Andesite. I think they might get a little better price than the others coming out of the With Anticipation, and I kind of think that one might be sitting on a big race. Jim, who do you like in the Pilgrim Stakes?
I think I'm like you. I can make a case for 5 or 6 horses here, but the horses I like best are the 2 and the 6. Our Country, the 6, comes out of the With Anticipation with a really bad start and just was never threatening, but went off at 6-5 as the favorite. And then No Word for Todd Pletcher, ran a 77 buyer first time out and made special weight and won for fun after a bad start. So I think this horse has got a lot of upside as well. When we get to pick 4, I'll use Tuggle, the 1 for Jeremiah Englehart, Andesite, the 3 that you like for Brad Cox, and probably the 9, Gray Blur for Carmouche, and Famished for Rosario on the outside. So I'm going to go at least 5 deep here, maybe 6 deep if I can afford it. This was the wide open race as compared to the first one.
Takes us to the 10th race, the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup at a mile and a quarter. Only 5 horses entered here, but it's kind of an interesting strategic race. I mean, certainly give Preservationist a big shot, but the 2 horses coming out of Travers are strong contenders. What do you think about the JC Gold Cup?
Well, I think they all have a shot in here except Olympic Village, which obviously got put in to make sure they had 5, I guess. But the other 4, I can make a case for all of them. It's going to be hard for Tacitus to get in trouble in this race, but he may. Code of Honor is the best horse in the race, but I'm not sure he's going to get the pace to run at here. So I think there's a really good shot that Preservationist takes the lead here and controls the pace unless Vino Rosso goes with him. And I think Preservationist is going to be a win pick for me. I'll also use Code of Honor in the pick 4. And, depending on the price of the ticket, I can use all 4 of them because I think you can make a strong case for Tacitus or Vino Rosso, who's come into his own here in the last couple races, ran a strong Whitney behind McKenzie and Yoshida. was kind of the wow horse that day, but had a little bit of a layoff since that good Gold Cup win at Santa Anita. So I think second off a layoff, Vino Rosso could threaten here as well. So it's a well-matched field for those 4 horses. It's a shame that $750,000 Grade 1 gets a field of 5, but that's what we got these days. So it's going to be fun to see if Code of Honor takes a step forward to the Breeders' Cup Classic, because I think he may be the favorite out there.
Yeah, I'm going to take Preservationist as well. I think his ability to maybe be the controlling speed in the small field, plus the fact that seems to love Belmont Park. He's run 2 of his best races there. So I think he's going to be hard to beat, but I think Code of Honor is certainly really dangerous. Just, an improving 3-year-old. Looks like Shug gave this horse a nice long break after the Derby. And the horse built up to a peak effort last time in the Travers, and if he's still improving, then he could certainly win this and the Classic. But with the pace scenario, Preservationist loving Belmont Park, I'm going to go with Preservationist with a slight nod over Code of Honor. And even though Tacitus certainly has a shot, and Vino Rosso, I could see the right circumstances winning, I'm going to only go 2 deep when we get to the pick 4, which is where we are now, and starts in the 8th race. It finishes with a maiden race, a 1 mile on the turf. So I'm gonna throw in. I only had a $30 ticket, so I'm gonna add Wildcat, and in case Midnight Bisou is off her game for any reason, then the pick 4 would pay a lot more if you also hit it with Wildcat. So I'm gonna go 1 and 6 with 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, all the ones I mentioned in the Pilgrim. Just going 2 deep in the Gold Cup, 4 and 2, Preservationist and Code of Honor. And then the last race, I think Chad Brown looks awfully good there with the 8 Border Town. Of course, in his debut, went down to Monmouth and had a troubled start, came rallying up to get the lead, and then flattened out, got beat. But that was going to be awfully tough coming off a little freshening for Chad Brown. But there are some others that you could look at. The 3 for the 6, Chad Brown, his other horse. The 4 might be a little bit of a price, Mata Beg, Beck, that's how that's pronounced, for Kieran McLaughlin, and a horse that has a beautiful grass pedigree. The 5 horse I'm going to throw in there as well. And then Mo Fun, 7 horse for Mike Maker, coming out of maiden claiming race, but Maker's a sharp in the claiming game. And so just on that angle, I'm going to throw that one in. So I'm going to finish with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that should be a $60 ticket for 50 cents. How about you?
I've got a similar ticket here, and I'm like you. Midnight Bisou is my single, but if you want to use Wildcat, you could multiply your win by 20 because it's going to be an overwhelming favorite in the first race. But I'm going to single Midnight Bisou, the 1. If you wanted to add the 6, that would be your prerogative. Second race, I'm going to go 1, 2, 6, 8, 9 with Our Country and No Word being my top 2 choices. I'm going to do like you in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, stick on Code of Honor and Preservationist, 2-4. And then I'm going 6 deep in the maiden special weight with some of the horses that you mentioned. My top pick is the horse that I can't pronounce, Matatabeg, for McLaughlin. That horse wanted the turf last time. They took it off the turf at Saratoga, and it is beautifully bred for the turf. They gave $450,000 for it and got a lot of play at Saratoga, even off the turf, and didn't run a step. So that's my pick in the last race, but I'm also going to use the 3 Mothale, the 5 Betterment, the 6 Perceived, the 8 Border Town, and the 10 Chantry Flats. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10. So my pick 4 is 1 with 1, 2, 6, 8, 9, with 2, 4, with 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 for $30.
So there are some great opportunities, not only at Belmont Park, but at Santa Anita on Saturday to take advantage of. And down at Churchill, Jim, there's some news that broke as we were recording this that horse players will want to make note of for the Saturday card at Churchill, right?
Yeah, Saturday night is the last night card at Churchill with the first post at 6 o'clock. And they got a really nice card with a couple of stakes races. The ACAC is the feature. And they are going to give away the Pick 6 as a mandatory payout that night instead of giving away on Sunday. Gulfstream is giving theirs away on Sunday. They've got a $1.8 million carryover. Churchill's got a nice carryover of over $400,000. So they're going to have a nice maybe $2 million pot on Saturday night. So it's the last 6 races on Saturday night. It's a 20-cent bet. And a great play when they give a mandatory payout because you're getting all that carryover and you're just eliminating the takeout.
Well, best of luck with Churchill, Belmont, Santa Anita, wherever you're playing this weekend. And next week, we'll start our daily podcasts on Friday for opening day of the Keeneland Fall Meet. We're Jim Goodman. I'm Tom Leach, and this is the In the Money podcast at KeenelandSelect.com.